Excellent. All right. Apoapsis is climbing. Time to Apoapsis is also climbing, but not insanely fast, which is quite nice. Ideally, actually, at this point, we'd probably be going directly horizontal. But yeah, let me not mess with those controls, because I don't quite remember how they work anymore. Turn that off, go to normal SAS mode, and I'm just going to pitch down to the horizon. Now, that's not going to stop from our time to Apoapsis climbing, but it's going to keep it basically manageable. And mostly what we're doing is helping to flatten things out. We're still pushing up our Apoapsis, but not crazy. And I'll probably stop when it hits about 100 and then work to circularize at that point. How does a mess like this work? I don't know, but it is. Somehow. Alright, so we're closing in on 100k as our target, and there we go. So I'm going to kill that. Oh, yeah, my mouse is over this, so when I hit X to stop my acceleration, it didn't take. This is both good and bad, that sort of contextual stuff. You can be locked to orbital prograde. That's going to be fine. Let's go and expose those numbers over here. Electric charge is going to get used to hold that right now, but it's okay. We're about to break into space. We will deploy the solar panels. Honestly, we could probably do it now. It's possible that MechJeb's got the quality of life auto-extending of solar panels thing enabled right now. I don't actually know. Settings. Is it not in here? There's a thing somewhere. Oh, probably under utilities. Auto deploy solar panels. Excellent, thank you. It'll auto undeploy them as well when you re-enter an atmosphere situation, which is nice. What's our time to Apoapsis? Okay. 4 minutes. Excellent. Lots of time. Did I pin you? Oh, I clicked on the monopropellant. That's what's going on. Excellent. So now we're all spiky like a hedgehog. And yet it's working. Where's my antenna? I want to go and extend this. Because our command pods and even our probe core has a built-in antenna, but it's limited range. So we'll go and extend the bigger one. That's going to be fine. Can't believe we still have fuel left in this frickin' thing. That's crazy sauce. So, at Apoapsis, we're going to want to circularize a bit just to give us all the time in the world to plan our next maneuver. So we're going to just stretch out the maneuver until the nodes look that they're going to start to flip. There we go. Just pull back on that a little bit. There we go. And 187 meters per second. And we have 477 in the tank. I will actually be able to complete circularization with this stage. Madness! Madness. Why don't you go and face yourself to the node? Rotation might be a wee bit slow. Oh, right! I didn't end up adding the extra reaction wheel in here. When I was working on the 2.5 meter parts, there was going to be. So right now, the only reaction wheels are right in the front, but we seem to be rotating surprisingly quickly, despite the fact that we're not actually using our engine gimbling right now. And once we get rid of these side tanks, our ship will be quite a bit lighter, and apparently it will turn plenty fine. So this should be about an 8-second burn. So that's quite nice. I'm just going to wait for this to complete, and we'll do a time warp. Today I learned bigger is better. Thanks, Quilt. Well, hey, when it comes to rocketry, it is absolutely true. The bigger the boom, the better. The bigger the engines, the better. Let's quick save. Okay, because I'm going to time warp here. Just waiting for the node time to reach us. So ideally, I'm going to start this at T-minus 4 seconds. Or thereabouts. And, whoa. And get ready for it. 2, 1, and go. Excellent. And the camera shift is the circularization, and kill the engine. That should be fine. Yep. Excellent. 108, 98. Fairly circular. More than good enough for what we're going for over here. Fan-frickin-tastic! Making a note here. Huge success. Okay. Now, we don't know if the rest of the design works at all. But, you know, that's a question for another day. All right, so back to the mapping mode. We are going to Duna, up over here. Set as target. So, to go to Duna, we I mean, yes, we're technically in orbit around Kerbin itself. Oh, we got a tip in from Royal Hanky. Thank you very much. Keep the videos coming. I will, Royal Hanky. Thank you very much for that. Appreciate it. So, we are clearly in orbit around Kerbin, but when you're looking at it from a solar system point of view, we're effectively in sync. We are locked into Kerbin over here. So, whatever Kerbin is doing is what we're doing. So, Kerbin is in orbit around the sun, and Duna is in orbit around the sun in a higher orbit. So, what we need to do is we need to raise our orbit, the Kerbin orbit, to match Duna, okay? So basically, in the direction that Kerbin is moving, we are burning prograde relative to Kerbin to boost our own orbit. And if we burn here, what it's going to be doing is raising the apoapsis on the other side, and we're going to be raising it until it gets high enough to be at the same height as Duna's orbit. And because of where we are relative to each other, we're in a lower orbit, so right now we're rotating the sun a little bit faster. So what should happen, assuming this is timed properly, if we raise our apoapsis to get it to be pushed over here, that'll happen to coincide with the exact time that Duna will reach over there. So how do we burn prograde over here? Well, what we need to make sure to do is we need to make sure that we're leaving Kerbin, basically, for this orientation here, leaving north. Because if we leave the sphere of influence of Kerbin moving north, it means we're leaving effectively burning prograde based on that solar orbit. And so if I add a maneuver, say, here, and burn prograde, this is far from exact. There are actually ways to figure it out exactly, but oh, there was a little bit of a slingshot potential there, but there we go. And we keep sort of burning like this. You can see we are now leaving on our escape path in line with Kerbin's orbit. Now, what I can do is keep starting burning prograde over here. There's a sort of a limit to how much I want to do, but I'm going to keep burning prograde until it's looking very much like we're getting close to Duna. Actually, you can see the encounter, the closest approach. We sort of miss it a little bit. What I'm going to do is just retune it here, first of all, so that if I can actually just grab this node, as opposed to the other little bits there, just pull it so that we're leaving, once again, a little bit more parallel to Kerbin's orbit. And I just want to make sure that we haven't overshot anything. Okay, no, we haven't overshot, and that's fine. I'm going to be a little conservative here. Optimally, we do it all in one go here, but I'm going to be a bit conservative, and then when we leave Kerbin, it'll be much easier for me to fine-tune the maneuver so that we actually do this approach. By the way, there's an option that you can only get to this, you can only access, as far as I know, in the settings on the main menu to always show closest approach, because normally it'll only show these closest approach tags if you actually cross the orbit of your target, and that's a huge pain in the ass. So speaking of which, how are we doing? Oh yeah, we're nice and plain. Yeah, which, good, excellent, wonderful. All right, so that seems okay. Estimated burn currently says 38 seconds, but that's not going to be accurate, because in 12 seconds of burning, we're going to have to go and stage out of our final ascent stage and into our nuclear engines, which have, we'll call this about 1/6 of the power, maybe more like 1/8. So in a very real sense, I'm going to say that our actual burn time's probably going to be somewhere around 2-ish minutes. More than that. Well, no, because you knock 12 seconds off, so there's going to be 26 seconds, and if you're multiplying it by 6-ish, that's about 2 minutes. You know what, call it about a 2.5 minute burn. It's probably a lot more accurate. Accurish. Good enough for Kerbal work. So, yeah, so that's what we'll plan. So if it's going to be about a 2.5 minute burn, I should start burning when we're about 1.25 minutes or 1 minute 15 seconds before the node. Somewhere roughly around there. It's again, it's accurate-ish. These are only Kerbals we're talking about. Now, are you trying to turn to the maneuver node? Can you even? Oh yeah, it's slowly trying to turn over there. So I can't time warp. I mean, I suppose I could physics warp at this point, but I can't time warp because the we have to make sure to finish this turn. Again, if I'd included an extra reaction wheel in the middle here, which I'd planned to, my initial design did, and we changed things, then we'd be doing this better. But we'll get there. It'll be fine. Bum, 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 bum. So I'm going to turn off the Smart ISS. Quill, you're the man who taught me you shouldn't math in public. It's true. But it's accessible. It's acceptable when you're doing Kerbal math, because Kerbal math is supposed to work out badly. So right now, there's nothing. There's actually no rotations. We started it, but right now, I'm just letting the momentum carry us there, and then I'll use the time warp trick to try to, like, stop a rotation a little bit more easily, because otherwise it gets clumpy. It's not so bad when using MechJeb, and actually, I have to give credit. The new SAS system in 1.2 is a lot less dumb than it used to be. It tend to overshoot all the time and really be quite miserable. But if you time warp, it stops your rotation, which helps. So I'll just put it back on node lock. That's going to be fine. We have 4 minutes 20 before we get there. Again, I probably want to start the burn 1:15. I might even want to give myself extra time, like a minute and a half ahead of time. Again, there's, you know, optimization things and blah, 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 but it will cover the eventuality that maybe, you know, it takes longer to stage, or I've miscalculated something. Worst case scenario, it's actually, there's no horrible case scenario. The worst case scenario is probably, like, I undercalculate so much that we've got such a weak burn that we don't even get a sphere of influence departure, so I have to stop and then wait for the next orbit and then do the burn again, which we've done before. When we sent, this was a while ago, we did a mission that went to Jewel and did a grand tour of all of Jewel's moons, and that was a mission that wasn't live streamed, thank God, because I think it was something like a 20-minute burn to leave Kerbin, basically. And at some point when we were, like, sort of in orbit of Kerbal, the sun itself, I think I had to do, like, a real-time, like, 45-minute burn. Like, real-time 45-minute burn. So, like, I like, started the burn and then went out and ran some errands and came back, and I was like, okay, I got back, it's not done yet, I can wait, like, I can watch YouTube videos for, like, another 7 minutes before I have to stop this burn. It was ridiculous. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and time warp a wee bit. And yeah, I'll start at about a minute 30. Which, because we're not starting right on the node and things are going to be spread out with a couple of different speeds, it's unlikely we're going to be able to execute this maneuver very, like, perfectly. But we don't have a perfect maneuver planned. We just have an approximate maneuver planned. That's going to be okay. So we're coming in at about a minute 30. I'm going to go ahead and start that. And so 9. Oh, that timer was off. We didn't have so much fuel in, well, for the time duration. I don't know. I guess we're fine. And stage. And light the next tier of engines. Estimated burn 3.5 minutes with 1.25 minute to the node. Okay, so I started late. Oh, these are on the wrong side. They were supposed to be alternating. Are they right on this one? Oh no, when I put them back the second time, I effed it up, but I don't think they actually crash into each other. I don't think they're physics enabled the same way. We'll find out. No, it's fine. I mean, we're probably just summoning the Kraken, but, you know, what could possibly go wrong? Whee! Look! We're an X-Wing! Hide the UI, take a screenshot. Excellent. So the nuclear engines look awesome. Very bright lights. Goodbye, sun. So, we got 3 more minutes of this burn. These are long burns. It's the low thrust to weight ratio. Oh, hello. I think these stages were inverted. Yep. So we actually have slightly more delta V than expected. Because the lag is unbearable sometimes. Because this is the outermost engine. Yeah, that's why I was going to check everything along the way. No. This is the outermost engine, so it's got to stage first. There we go. And do that. So I'm willing to bet our total delta V just went up. 9,400. If I do this, 9,300. If I put that back, 9,400. Yeah, there we go. Excellent. So we stage this first. We'll probably want to retract the radiators before we do that. I mean, we're not going to do it as part of this burn, so it's going to be fine. But yeah, I'm going to keep doing that because it's very easy in all the noise that starts up for some of the staging to actually be inverted from the expectation. So it's always good to give another double check. These guys are not asparagus, so yeah, they launch at the same time. You're not going to be helping during the ascent. Actually, you probably will be. I think the plan... Oh, yeah, probably not the descent. Yeah, no, alright, that's good. How's the burn time? Still 100 seconds left. Sick burn, bro. Sick burn. We had a tip in from Psytrap. Hey, thank you very much. Sai says victory or death. Well, sometimes both. It's Kerbal. Sometimes the death is the victory. Alright. 87 seconds left, so a minute and a half still left to this burn. Temperatures are good, right? Yep, no temperature meter warnings. Good. Most likely we did need a radiator. The little ones would probably be enough, but, you know. If we had some heat problems, I could always turn off the middle guy. But the middle guy's got 4 of the small flat radiators. So yeah, all in all, we're groovy. Power's good because these nuclear engines do actually generate power for us, even though we're on the dark side of Kerbin. 1 minute left. Life support isn't a requirement. Yeah, we're not running any life support mods. Some of them, if not all of the core modules, have been updated for 1.2, but not necessarily everything has. Plus, I mean, I like to run the game in different modes for different reasons, right? This is allowing us to do something slightly differently. I mean, we wouldn't need life support for this mission right now, because it's just a probe core, but we would, you know, once we picked up Bob. Although Bob probably would have starved to death a long time ago in Duna. We wouldn't have done that mission with Bob if we needed life support for him. I didn't want to kill him. 30 seconds. One thing that's nice for these burns, especially when there's the risk that you, like, will, you know, lose focus because it's such a long burn, is you can use MechJeb to actually execute the burn for you, right? It'll just, like, start the burn and then the burn. Done. And that's often really nice. Yeah, there's our actual orbit here. And again, I'm perfectly fine to stop it basically at any time, because we'll be doing another corrective burn in orbit around Kerbal, which is not quite as efficient as doing it all in one go within the gravity well of Kerbin, especially really close up, but it's still going to be fine. The amount of Delta V changes that we're going to be doing are going to be pretty minimal. Alright, so I'm going to call that good enough. Okay, so we got this, and yeah, again, ideally, the closest approach, if we had done it right, and we knew this wasn't going to be perfect based on the maneuver, and we didn't execute the maneuver perfectly, but ideally we'd want the closest approach to be closer to our actual apoapsis. Apoapsis is the highest point of our orbit, and that should be exactly where the closest approach will be. But that's okay, we'll do a corrective thing. I'm not going to plan the maneuver quite yet. We're going to wait until we leave the sphere of influence of Kerbin first. So yeah, I'll just fast forward to that. Ooh, we're draining power quickly. Oh, because we were still being eclipsed by Kerbin, but now we're not, so our power goes right up to full. We don't have a lot of battery, which I have to admit is a little scary, except for the fact that all of our nuclear engines generate power, so it's not as much of a disaster. And batteries were very heavy. Not quite that minimal, but you overkilled your Delta V by so much it shouldn't matter. Yeah, you're right. I mean, yeah, you're right. It's not as minimal as I was making it out to be, but it'll still feel pretty damn safe, especially with the extra Delta V. And always pack an extra pair of Delta V, because you never know. It's like socks and underwear. Just pack an extra pair of Delta V. Oh yeah, the alarm clock one is kind of annoying with this. Just go ahead, leave the sphere of influence. It's fine. It's fine. There we go. Give it a minute to lock in fully. Okay, good. Excellent. So, we are now in orbit around Kerbal, around the sun itself. Which means we can, with more confidence, make adjustments to our maneuver here. So that's in an hour. There we go. We'll do a maneuver in 24 minutes. And so what we want to do is, first of all, we still need to boost our orbit a little bit. But also, you can see that our closest approach is moving away from our apoapsis, which is a good sign that things aren't quite right. Now, that's a factor of the fact that we didn't start our burn at quite the right time. We can correct this via a radial or anti-radial burn, which led to some funny results over there. There we go. Whoops. Pull back a little. Pull back. There we go. So 650 meters per second to complete this. Now, because we're having to do the radial, notice our apoapsis is beyond this encounter and actually above Duna. If you do everything beautifully, perfectly right, again, your apoapsis, which is the highest point that you push your orbit to, will be where you're doing your encounter. That's like, that's the dream situation. Here, it's fine. We're not spending that much delta V to do the correction. And, I mean, and again, it's hard to do it exactly right within the sphere of influence of a planet like Kerbal. I get it close while exiting the sphere of influence, then I get it where I want it to be once I'm outside. The other nice thing you can do at this point is you can actually go and focus on the planet and see exactly where this is going to end us up. And in fact, it's going to be quite far. Right now, this is still passing like well beyond the range of even Ike and everything like that, like very far away. But I'm okay with that because I want to get, again, I'd like to do it incrementally. It's not as efficient. Ideally, you know, you run it through a computer that calculates the exact to the, you know, microgram of fuel that you're going to use. But I like to, at this stage, get it to the point where I am going to encounter Duna. Then I can tune, and these are things that take tiny little bits of delta V. Then I tune it so that my orbital path comes in exactly where I want, which in this case is going to be polar, either north or south, because we're going to want to enter into a polar orbit so that we actually have an easier time of eventually having our orbit be on top of Bob. So I think that's going to be okay. So it's going to be about a 3-minute burn. Tell you what, I will use MechJeb with the maneuver planner over here. Now, I'm not using MechJeb's maneuver planner at all. There's plenty of things that you can do, including what we'd be doing here, actually, is a home and transfer to the target. Although, because we're not in a circular orbit, it wouldn't be super keen on that. But that's effectively what we'd be doing. In any case, I'm not actually using it to plan the maneuver. I'm just using it to execute the next node. I'm not getting it to calculate the node for me. I'm just getting it to do that. And all it's going to do is start the burn at the right time and turn off the engine at the right time. That way, I can chat with you lovely people instead of, you know, watching the milliseconds kick down. All right, we got that. Staging is still fine. Groovy. We're not going to need to stage for another 860 meters per second in the current stage. So we're going to finish this entire burn without staging, which is all okay. All right. Think Bob has trauma being left on Duna alone? Yeah, he has been alone for a long time. Already 4.5 years, and it's going to take us... it's going to take us a while. It's going to take us almost a year to reach Duna as well, now that even though we're in space already. Saving Bob has officially crashed the entire economy of Kerbal. Well, I mean, it's like the Martian movie, right? How much money do they spend to save goddamn Mark Watney? It becomes a symbol. It's a symbol of your people and your space program and all those things. It's very important. All right. The other thing that's nice about this is once it lines up the maneuver node, it also does the time warp. And again, you don't have to worry about accidentally overshooting your time warp. Going in, 3, 2, 1, burn. Hey, we can actually see Kerbal in the background. Look at that. Screenshot time. Boom. Too bad the front of my ship looks like such a chaos of solar panels. Whee! Alright, looking good. Feeling good. It's not about the money, it's about sending a message. We're the Kerbal Mafia, the space mafia. You can't just leave a dude stranded in space, that's right. No other Kerbal wanted to join our space program with that. I mean, they're fine if, you know, Kerbals die in the line of duty and get to, you know, explode, you know, in huge fireballs. They're okay with that. That's something that's very Kerbalish. The idea of just being stranded on another planet, they're like, nope, this will not do. We're like, fine, we'll go pick him up, it's okay. You can move asteroids. Asteroids don't have gravity wells. Yeah. That is true. And you can't move planets. They are actually just, like, locked by the physics system. Is the liquid fuel and nuclear engine water? No, well, it's not in this. Because there's a couple of different ways that you can do it. Like, one of the interesting things about an ion engine is it really doesn't burn the fuel at all. All it's doing is just throwing things out the back. I mean, really, that's what all rocket engines are. They're just, you throw things out the back of the ship so that you get pushed the other way around, right? It's the whole action-reaction thing. Like if you're in a, you're in a little cart and you take a heavy rock and you throw it at the back, and the cart's going to move forward, for example. And that's what they all are. Now, most of the time, the way they shoot things at the back is by making these controlled explosions, but the ion engine is not. The nuclear engine, I don't know what it represents in here.